Here is the checklist I'm hoping to get through today. I need to bake bread for the week. We also want to have toast to go along with our breakfast casserole. We're doing breakfast for dinner. I need to get some potatoes roasted and prep breakfast for my kids for the week. And then I'm also gonna make banana chocolate chip muffins. So this looks like a lot. Let's get to it. To begin with, I'm going to start with the breakfast casserole because I'm going to put it into the refrigerator to sit until it's time to cook a little bit later. But here are the ingredients that I'm using. I've got this loaf of hollow bread that I bought from Trader Joe's. It's been in my freezer. I'm ready to use it and get it out of the freezer. I'm going to be using the cheddar jack cheese. I've got some home canned sausage. Now this is so nice and convenient to have on the pantry shelf. I love to can protein. But here's the thing, you can use any kind of sausage you want, fresh, canned, whatever you want. I'm using some eggs and I'm gonna chop up 1 onion as well. Oh my gosh, this bread looks amazing. Look at this, it's soft. Oh, it smells so good. Let me take a moment to welcome you back, or welcome if you're new, to A Dash of Gratitude. My name is Beth, and it's really nice to have you here today. If you wouldn't mind taking this time to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't already, I would absolutely love to have you be a part of my YouTube family.
That's it. Okay. You're set on.
So here is the sausage and the onions, and I'm just gonna let them get browned. I'm gonna let the sausage brown a little more and let the onions get translucent. There is some fat that was in the can with the sausage, and most of it was just a little tiny bit around the top ring, and that just adds flavor. But some of that will cook off too. And I might drain some of it off as well when we're all done. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. We're also going to add 1.5 cups of milk. I forgot to say that earlier. I usually like to add in some Italian seasoning as well, just because I like the added little bits of green. So I'll always shake in some.
Wait for me.
And I just add enough until it looks right. I'm gonna let the sausage cool just a little bit before I put the eggs on top, and then I'm gonna cover it with some plastic wrap and pop it in the fridge, and we'll bake it up for dinner. I think this is gonna be so good. So good. All right, before we put our egg mixture, I'm gonna add some cheese on top. So I've just got this shredded cheddar jack cheese. You can use any kind of cheese that you like. And I just like to cover the whole top. Make sure to get the corners. Okay. And from there, we're just gonna pour the egg mixture right on top. And it will soak all the way in and through and all around. Plus it'll have lots of time to hang out in the fridge. I think I might just kind of press down a little bit all the way around. The bread is so airy, although it has a nice density to it, but I just want to press it down to help it kind of just zhuzh all together in there, you know what I mean? And just gonna cover it with some plastic wrap. And we'll bake this in just a little bit. This next recipe is one that I found on YouTube, and I will screenshot this so that you can screenshot it or write it down yourself, but I got this from Patera over at Appalachia's Homestead. I love her channel. I have gotten several really good recipes from her, and this one is really easy and it makes a delicious bread. This is gonna make 2 loaves of bread, and the things that we're gonna use today are, we'll need some all-purpose flour, honey, yeast, oil, a little salt, and we'll need some warm water. This bread recipe is so easy to make and it always turns out delicious. You're gonna start by adding 2 cups of flour and 1 tablespoon of yeast. I buy my yeast in bulk at Costco. I keep it in the freezer and it lasts forever. Then you're gonna add 2.5 cups of warm water and you're gonna stir this together and let it sit for about 15 minutes. And then we'll move on from there. This has been sponging for 15 minutes and now we're gonna add some more of these ingredients. So we need to add 1/3 cup of honey. Hold on. 1/4 cup of oil. 2 teaspoons of salt. I like to use Redmond's real salt. And then we need to add 4 to 5 cups of flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna go ahead and add the 5. Okay. All right, we're gonna add the hook. So I usually do this by hand, but my back is a little bit sore today, so I'm using the KitchenAid mixer for the first time. And this just has to knead for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna let this go and I'll see you back in 10. I'm gonna take the hook off and we're just gonna let this dough rest for about 10 minutes. And then we're gonna divide it into 2 loaf pans. Whenever I let bread rest, I like to just cover it. I've got a cloth napkin here and just kind of like tuck it in for 10 minutes. So I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I just try to make it as smooth on top as possible. You know, they turn out a little bit different every time, but that's okay. Just gonna pop them into the pans. Now from here, I do like to set them over. I've got my oven preheating right now, so I'm gonna set my bread loaves over there on the oven where it's a little bit warmer to let them do their final rise. The final rise could take like 45 minutes, but I want to show you. So you see how you can barely see the little lump of the dough? Like it's kind of protruding up here and a little bit right here. We want to see that get a lot bigger during this rise time. So try to remember what that looks like, and then we'll come back and compare in about 45 minutes. depending on the temperature of your kitchen and how warm it is, it could be anywhere from 10 to 45 minutes. You just want to see a nice increase, a double in size here in the dough. While we're waiting on the bread to rise, we are going to go ahead and whip up these muffins, and I'll link this down below. This recipe is so good. The ingredients we are using today: chocolate chips, sugar, baking soda. We need 2 eggs. These have been sitting out, so they are room temp. We've got vanilla. This is my homemade vanilla extract. I made it with some rum. I'm gonna be adding protein powder today. That's the Jocko Molk Vanilla Gorilla Protein Powder. We need bananas, and these were super ripe. I put them in my freezer, so they've been in there for a little while, and they're thawing out right now. They'll be good to go in just a minute. We also need flour, which is in my 5-gallon bucket. Oh, we need 1 stick of butter softened, and it's already in there. In the mixer, I've got the stick of butter softened and then the 2/3 cup of sugar, and we are going to cream these together. All right, to the sugar and butter, we're gonna add our 2 eggs, and we'll continue to mix that as well. While I'm mashing these bananas, they're supposed to be mashed to like an applesauce consistency before you put them in. These are so ripe, I could probably just throw them right in. But anyway, while I'm working on these, I just wanted to share a little story. This recipe is a little bit special to me. It's just a random recipe I found on the internet. I found it on Pinterest. But when I found it, it was 2020, and we were at home, and I just remember like feeling the urge to like make some type of bread. And I'm at the time I really wasn't a baker, and I guess I could say now that I kind of am a baker. I'm still learning. I'm not that great at baking, but I am getting better. Anyway, I just really wanted something that was comforting and easy to make, and so I just searched like easy banana bread recipe, and this is the one that I found, and I've made it several times since. It turned out just like the picture, and I was just so pleased with it. My kids love this recipe. And anyway, so this recipe does hold a little special place in my heart because it was like my first baking success, like from scratch. And I just remember that time was just, you know, stressful for a lot of people around the whole world. And it just brought such comfort to our home, and it's just special to me. When I asked my kids earlier, you know, I said, we've got some bananas. Do y'all want me to make chocolate chip muffins? And they were like, yes, like they were so excited. They probably don't remember that 2020 brought us this recipe, but it's special to me. These are really, really well mashed. I mean, they are pretty much like liquefied. So in they go. And let's see, the recipe actually calls for 3 bananas. There were probably only 2 in here, but it's gonna be totally fine. It seems like the recipe is fairly giving. We have everything else. We have all the rest of the ingredients, but okay, we're also gonna add the vanilla extract, and it calls for a 1/2 teaspoon. Gonna keep mixing that. In this bowl, we are mixing our dry ingredients separately. So I've got 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. To this, I'm also gonna add 1 scoop of the Jocko protein powder. This is the best protein powder. I've talked about it before on the channel, and this brand is our favorite. We have a few different flavors of it, but Jocko Molk is the best. So good. So to that, I'm just gonna whisk these together. I wanted to take a moment to just give a shout out to Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead. That channel is where the Pantry Challenge got started, and it's spread across YouTube like crazy, it seems. But I have really enjoyed participating in this Pantry Challenge. If you want more content about the Three Rivers Challenge, head on over to Three Rivers Homestead or search the hashtag Three Rivers Challenge. There's so much awesome content that you can enjoy on YouTube and also on Instagram. Also, I wanted to say that any recipes I'm able to do, I will link them in the description box below. And of course, if you have any questions about anything that I've done in this video, be sure to leave a comment down below. Okie dokie, my timer just went off to check on these babies. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at those, they look so good. Alrighty then, here are the loaves of bread. They smell incredible. They look beautiful. And I'm gonna let them rest there for just a moment, and then I'm going to turn them out onto this cooling rack. I also pulled out these muffins. They got a little more toasty than I'm used to them getting, but they still smell good. I think they're gonna be delish. Let me show you what I got over here. I've been working on breakfast prep for my kids for the week. If you don't know, we homeschool, and I always do their breakfast for the week. That way our mornings run really smooth. So I've got eggs. I scrambled them up, topped them with cheese. These are frozen sausage links that they'll thaw in the week. They'll thaw in the fridge through the week, and then in the morning when we heat them up, they'll be good to go. And the reason I'm gonna roast potatoes is because I'm gonna fill in that other space with some roasted potatoes, just a few each. My kids love those in the morning, and I haven't done them in a while. And I've got 2 potatoes left. Since I've been making videos of cooking and baking and recipes and such, I've noticed that I pat my bread. Does anyone else do that? Pat your bread, whether it's in dough form or fresh out of the oven? I don't know. Why do I do that? I don't know. All right, you can optional top your bread with butter, and it's easiest if you just get in there with your hands and spread it all around. This will help the crust be a little softer, and of course, butter always adds such a great flavor. So this is optional, but I do it most of the time. Not every time, but most of the time. This bread turned out so delicious. You need to give this recipe a try. It's so easy. Also, I realized as I was editing this video that I did not get any video footage of this breakfast casserole, so here are some pictures. It also turned out delicious. Tonight for dinner, I am making something that I've never made before. So I bought these lentils quite a while ago, and honestly I bought them because I've got a really cute clear canister that I keep them in, and I bought them because they were pretty and I thought they'd be pretty on my shelf in the pantry. I don't think I've ever cooked with them before. I measured out 1 pound of these lentils. I'm going to put them into the crock pot with 6 cups of water, and I'm going to cook them for 3 hours. Also in the freezer I have 1 ham hock. I usually keep these for when I make collard greens, and so I've got 1 left over from the last time when I made collard greens. So I'm going to flavor. This is going to add a really good flavor to these lentils. And then these were in the freezer. It's not a full bag. It's probably halfway full of these mini wontons with chicken and cilantro. So I'm going to cook these up for on the side. I may also chop an onion to put in here. And I'm thinking about adding seasoning that I would do for like a chili. I don't know what I'll throw in there, but I will let you know later. All right, wish me luck. I put the ham hock in. Now I'm gonna add these lentils straight in. Let me get 6 cups of water. All right, in goes 4 cups of water. And the last 2. I was looking in the freezer and I found this flat frozen bag of pinto beans. Now these are my pinto beans that I make in the crock pot, and whenever I have leftovers, I freeze them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break off maybe like a quarter of what's in this bag, and I'm going to stick it into the crock pot as well, because I think these are gonna offer such good flavor. This is gonna be really good. All right, so I was able to break off 2 pretty good chunks of those frozen pinto beans. I've got the crock pot set to high, and I'm gonna pop the lid on, and I'm gonna keep an eye on these. I'm gonna be home today, but I'm really excited to see how they turn out. I think they're gonna be really good. For these little mini wontons, which by the way are really good, I just followed the directions on the back of the package. They were super easy to put together. It's almost dinner time, and I wanted to tell you that I did end up seasoning the lentils just a little bit. I added very few of these crushed red peppers. I added a generous amount of Italian seasoning, as well as cumin and garlic. Then I added a decent amount of roast chicken and some thyme. So I didn't measure, I just kind of shook it in there until it looked right. And I cook a lot by smell, so I shook it in there until it smelled right. And then that was probably about an hour ago. I added a little bit more water, and I went ahead and took out the ham hock, and it smells so good. So we're gonna serve this with cheese on top. If we had sour cream, I would put sour cream on top as well. And then I did fry up some of those wontons. Here are the wontons. They're so little and cute, and frying was such a mess over there. I hate pan frying stuff. These you can cook in the microwave, but they taste better if they're fried. So that's what I did. And then I've got them, I put some of this Japanese barbecue sauce in the bottom of this plate, and I put the wontons on top. So they each have a little bit of sauce on the bottom. Dinner was so good, and I did serve it with cheese, shredded cheese on top. But let me tell you this, I also added a little bit of this Japanese barbecue sauce because I felt like it was just missing something. And let me tell you, it was so good with the sauce. Although I think that you could put this sauce on just about anything and it would enhance it. It's so good. So anyway, that was dinner tonight. As you can see here on my fridge, I have our weekly menu written out. And today, as I'm filming, today is Tuesday. So I'm gonna make an attempt at making arroz con pollo. I've never made it here at the house before. I've ordered it in a Mexican restaurant a few times. It's one of my favorite dishes to order. Tonight's actually going to be really simple to put together. Brandon grilled some chicken for me over the weekend. I'm gonna be using that grilled chicken, and I'm gonna serve it over rice with cheese dip on top. I've never prepared rice this way before, so it's gonna be a little bit of an experiment. I'm roughly following a recipe that I saw online. So I'm gonna see how that goes, but I'm excited. So, oh, and for the cheese dip, let me show you. This is the cheese dip we're gonna be using for tonight, and it's brand new, hasn't been opened, and we've had it in our fridge for a little while. So I'm excited to go ahead and use this, and it's gonna make putting dinner together so simple. Something else we've never used before is the avocado lime dressing from Primal Kitchen. We really love this brand. Brandon used this to marinate the chicken before he grilled it. So here you can see the chicken. It looks a little charred, but I think it's gonna be totally fine. And I'm hoping that this dressing is good. Like I said, we've never used it before. So let's go. To make the rice, I'm gonna be using this basmati rice. I'm gonna start by toasting it in a pan with a little bit of butter. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of this tomato paste as well as some fresh garlic. In the background, you might hear my dryer, so I'm sorry for that. I'm also going to season the rice with this chicken bouillon from Knorr, and I'm gonna cook it in the chicken broth. I have my burner set to medium, and you know what? I need a little more butter. Add about between 3 and 4 tablespoons of butter all together. And I'm gonna let that get melty in the pan. Something that I like to do whenever I cook rice, I go ahead and measure out my rice first. The reason that I do this is because in the past it's come about where like the water's boiling, the kids are going, you know, all over the place, and like it's just kind of hectic. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I gotta put the rice in. Anyway, so this just eliminates that problem, that issue. So I've got 2 cups of rice, and I did 2 cups of rice because this has 4 cups of broth. And since I'm using this to cook the rice, it just makes sense. 2 cups, 4 cups, perfect, right? All right, the butter's melted. I'm just gonna add the rice, and I'm hoping there's enough butter in there to get the rice kind of coated. And we're just gonna cook this around for a little bit, just so the rice can get a little bit toasty. And as I was thinking about this recipe, I was reminded, did anyone else make Lipton rice? My mom used to make Lipton rice all the time, and you can't make it the same anymore because Lipton chicken noodle soup, the formula is different, and the powder mix is different now. It used to just be one clump in the package, but now it's just all powdery form. But anyway, so that prevents you from being able to make the recipe the way that we used to make it, because it doesn't matter. You can't do it anymore. But anyway, part of that recipe was to toast the rice a little bit first in the pan. So, oh yeah, and this is plenty of butter for that amount of rice. So I think this is gonna be just fine. All right, let me put you down. I sure did miss that Lipton rice though. It just was so good. It's one of my childhood memory recipes from my mom's kitchen. Anyway, maybe I'll try to recreate it one day. I wonder if I could. Anyway, what I'm looking for is just ever so slightly toasted color on the rice. The smell, maybe a little bit of a smell of a toasty going on. Okay, so from here, I'm going to add a little bit of tomato paste, and I had to open it upside down. I don't know. I'm just going to add a little bit, maybe 2 tablespoons, around about. Okay, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the chicken bouillon. Let's see, maybe 1. Yeah, we'll do 2. 2 tablespoons of the chicken bouillon. All right, then we're gonna add 3 cloves of garlic. One of my favorite things to cook with. Okay, I'm gonna stir that together. All right, it's not looking like much yet. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I think this is gonna be so good. So in goes the 4 cups of chicken broth. Oh man, this pan is hot. Okay, I'm gonna stir that together. Okay, so we're just going to pop a lid on and turn it down to simmer. And I'm going to set a timer for 17 minutes. All right, so I have the better part of this tomato paste left. And what I like to do is I like to put the remainder into a little snack size Ziploc bag. And then I just zip it closed, get out as much of the air as possible. And then I just flatten out the paste so it's really thin and flat. And then I take that and put it into a freezer bag. And I pop this in the freezer. And then next time I need tomato paste, I don't have to open a whole new jar or a whole new container. I can just break off whatever I need or use the whole thing or whatever. So, for the chicken, I'm just going to slice it. And then we'll just warm it up in the microwave. I love, love, love when Brandon grills for the week because it just makes my life so much easier. Whether we eat a lot of leftovers for lunchtime. If you're new here, we homeschool, so, you know, we're here a lot. So it's just really nice to have food prepped ahead. It just makes our day so much easier. And this chicken looks so beautiful. All right, we've got this rice. It looks and smells so good. The chicken is warming up in the microwave. I've got this cheese dip. It's nice and melty. It's gonna be real good. I wish we had some cilantro. Alrighty, here is the finished plated meal. It looks so good. And I did add some dried cilantro on top. I really wish we had fresh. It's my favorite. But this is gonna be really good. I just took a bite of this rice. It is delicious. Delicious. Today is the very last day officially of our pantry challenge. Today is January 31st, and I was gonna do leftovers. That's what I have written down on our meal plan for the week. But when I was thinking about dinner, I was like, man, I really want something crunchy, like some vegetable that is crunchy and fresh. And, you know, we're not going to the store until after today. And so we're probably going to wait until Friday or over the weekend. Today is Wednesday. Then I had the best thought. I said, let's do sandwiches. We have turkey. We have lunch meat in the freezer. We've got turkey. I've got fresh made bread from this week. And we have lettuce in the garden that I can actually harvest and bring in. So I'm doing that today. And I think I'm going to do a side of French fries from the freezer, because that just sounds good, like a sandwich with French fries and a crunchy lettuce, maybe some bacon. Here is my container garden, and over here I've got kale, which really isn't doing anything. It's just little baby leaves. I planted them from seed, and they're not really doing much, and that's okay though. I'd never planted them. I'd never planted them before, so it was kind of an experiment. Back here I've got lettuce. It's butter lettuce, butter crunch, butter crisp. I don't remember. But look at how beautiful that is. I can't even believe how pretty that is. And I did not plant these from seeds. I bought little starter plants and they've done really well. This was supposed to be the same thing. It was labeled the same, but obviously it's different. That's okay too. I don't even know what that is. And then this is also a butter lettuce, so it's a little bit smaller, but man, look how pretty that is. I just can't even believe how pretty that is. Over here I've got arugula, and it's going to seed. That's okay. And then I've got some herbs that are hanging on down here, and you know, some other things that are just petered out from the season. Back here along the back wall I have garlic, and it's doing pretty well back there. I planted those from bulbs, so they're still doing fine. All right, let's cut this lettuce. I've never harvested lettuce before. Like I said, this is my first time growing a winter garden at all. But I looked up on YouTube, and one of the channels I found just said you can cut the whole thing from the bottom, from the base, and then another lettuce will grow after. So that's what I'm gonna do. This is so pretty, and I am so pleased. Wow. Since we're outside, I just wanted to show you this camellia bush is just loaded with blooms. And they're so pretty. It's like a variegated light and dark pink camellia. So pretty. I was thrilled to harvest this head of lettuce, and it tasted so good and fresh. And being out there in the garden reminded me that spring is getting closer every day, and I'm really excited to start planning our garden for the season. And I actually stopped by a garden supply center today and looked around, but they don't have anything ready for spring yet, and that's okay. Anyway, let's get back to this video. So literally, simply just sandwiches. That's going to be dinner tonight. So I sliced up some of my homemade bread. I did some bacon. This was just the pre-cooked microwave bacon, fresh lettuce, and then this is the turkey we're using, and mayonnaise and mustard. I'm waiting on the fries to come out of the oven. Sometimes dinner just needs to be simple. While this pantry challenge has been so fun and so informative, I am looking forward to getting back into the grocery store and restocking on some things. And I do think that I'm going to be shopping with a whole different mentality about groceries and the things that we keep in stock and all of that. So anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this video today, and I hope you got some inspiration on things that you can do in your kitchen for you and your family. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for adding a dash of gratitude to your day, and I will see you on the next video.